the kinds of fish older adults should avoid, and the ones they should eat. Fish might be aging you faster, but why is no one talking about it? Every week, millions of Americans over 60 eat fish, believing it's good for the heart and memory. But a 2024 study found something surprising. Just 2 servings of the wrong fish per month can increase the risk of Alzheimer's by up to 63%. Are you sure the fish you're eating every week isn't on that dangerous list? Let me tell you about Linda. She's 70 years old and lives in Seattle. She still cooks regularly, takes a walk every morning, and believes her pan-seared salmon is the reason she stays healthy. But after just a few months, she started forgetting her grandkids' names. Her mind felt heavy. Her body felt tired. The blood test results shocked her whole family. Her mercury levels were 3 times higher than the safe limit. And no, she never ate swordfish or big tuna. So what was the problem? It was a fish labeled heart healthy at her local grocery store. In today's video, I'm going to show you 4 types of fish that seem healthy, but are quietly damaging the brain, heart, and joints of older adults, and 4 forgotten fish that can help you stay sharp, strong, and healthy, even more than supplements, if you eat them the right way. This is not general advice. Every part is backed by research, real-life examples, and clear guidance. If you or someone you love is over 60, learning how to choose the right fish can change your health in a big way. And here's the scariest part. The most dangerous fish of all is one that many doctors still recommend. Let's begin with the first one. It looks expensive and fancy, but for your brain, it might be a hidden danger. Number 4, swordfish, the silent brain killer in older adults. My old neighbor David is 68 this year. He used to be one of the most disciplined people I knew, careful with his food, active, and living like a retired soldier. Every Sunday, he would grill a thick piece of swordfish out in his yard. He'd sprinkle a little lemon pepper on top and joke, "This is what's going to keep me alive long enough to play baseball with my grandson." But a few years later, when I saw him again, he didn't recognize me right away. He looked tired. His memory came and went. Things started to change right after he turned 65, and no one could have guessed that the golden grilled fish from those weekends might have been the start of it all. Swordfish is a predator fish. It's at the top of the food chain. It lives a long time, eats hundreds of smaller fish, and because of that, builds up a large amount of mercury in its body. If you're younger, your liver and kidneys can flush some of that mercury out. But once you're over 60, your body's detox system slows down. Mercury starts to build up silently and damages the protective layer around your brain cells. It leads to memory loss, trouble focusing, feeling tired more often, and even mild depression with no clear reason. A 2023 study published in Neurology Today found that older adults with high mercury levels in their blood had a 38% higher risk of dementia within just 5 years, even if they didn't have any obvious signs at first. For David, doctors couldn't find anything specific at first. It wasn't until he got deeper testing that they discovered his mercury levels were far above normal. From one familiar food, something that seemed healthy, came something quietly damaging his memory. There's a simple but powerful lesson here. Not all fish are good for you. And sometimes the foods we think are premium or healthy can actually bring the biggest long-term risks. So if you see swordfish on the menu at a restaurant, just smile and pick something else. There are better options out there, tasty, safer, and I'll show you those in just a minute. Because if you think swordfish is risky, the next fish might surprise you even more. It's cheap, easy to find, and often labeled as healthy. But in reality, it's one of the most common traps older adults fall into at the grocery store every week. Let's take a closer look. Coming up next. Number 3, farmed tilapia. Looks gentle on the outside, but hides trouble inside. Helen is 66 years old and lives in Florida. She's someone who really cares about her health. She always picks foods that are light, low in fat, and easy to digest. And for many years, her lunch was usually a piece of pan-seared tilapia with steamed vegetables. It's mild, easy to cook, and the package says it's heart-friendly, she once told her friends at a wellness class. But recently, Helen began feeling different. Aches and pains that wouldn't go away, poor sleep, swollen joints, and she felt tired all the time. The strange part? Her blood test results were normal. Here's the truth. Tilapia, especially farm-raised tilapia, is not as gentle as it looks. Around 80% of the world's tilapia comes from fish farms in China and Southeast Asia. There, fish are raised in overcrowded, polluted tanks with barely any clean water flow. To keep them alive, they're fed with corn and soy-based pellets, and sometimes even ground-up animal bone meal, which their bodies were never meant to digest. On top of that, antibiotics, growth hormones, and antifungal drugs are used regularly. But the scariest part isn't the water or the medicine. It's the type of fat that builds up in farmed tilapia. Farmed tilapia has an unusually high amount of omega-6 fats, especially one called arachidonic acid. This kind of fat causes strong inflammation in the body. And for older adults whose bodies may already have low-level inflammation from aging, eating farmed tilapia is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It can make joint pain worse, it can mess with your blood pressure, and it can speed up muscle breakdown as you age. One study from Wake Forest University found that eating farmed tilapia regularly causes more inflammation than bacon or donuts. Now, back to Helen. After she removed tilapia from her diet and switched to small wild fish like sardines, her health changed a lot. She slept more deeply. Her joint pain started to fade, and each morning she felt sharper and more refreshed. The lesson here is simple. Just because something is mild, doesn't smell fishy, and has low fat, doesn't mean it's good for you. With fish, just like with people, where it comes from matters more than how it looks. But if you think farmed tilapia is the worst fish trick on your plate, wait until the next one. Because the fish we're about to talk about doesn't just carry toxins. It also fools us with fancy labels, rich color, and claims like good for the brain. In truth, it's a health bomb hiding in the fridge of many American families. Number 2, king mackerel, a fancy fish that hides a mercury bomb. Howard is a 70-year-old retired seafood chef living in Texas. He loves the ocean, loves to cook, and especially loves big fish, especially king mackerel. It's sweet, firm, and smells amazing on the grill. It just feels like a fancy meal, he used to say to his friends. Every weekend, he would ride his bike to the fish market, buy a few fresh slices of king mackerel, and pan-sear them with a glass of white wine. But after just a few years, things started to change. Howard began to have trouble with his memory. At the store, he often forgot what he came in for. Sometimes, while cooking, he'd stop and wonder, had he turned the stove on or not? At first, he thought, maybe I'm just getting old. But his daughter wasn't so sure. Here's the truth. King mackerel is one of the highest mercury fish in the ocean. It's a large predator fish that lives a long time. And the longer it lives, the more mercury builds up in its body. According to recent warnings from the FDA and EPA, king mackerel is in the top 3 mercury-loaded fish ever tested. And for older adults, whose nervous systems are already more sensitive, eating mercury-contaminated fish regularly can be dangerous. Mercury destroys the protective layer around your brain cells. It weakens memory, makes it harder to focus, and can even cause shaking hands, or raise the risk of dementia. A 2024 study published in the Brain Health Journal found that older adults with higher than normal mercury levels in their blood had a 50% greater risk of brain shrinkage within just 5 years. That was the case with Howard. Doctors ran a series of neurological tests, but they didn't find Alzheimer's. Then they tested his blood for mercury, and the results shocked the whole family. His mercury levels were twice the safe limit. After that, Howard stopped eating king mackerel. He switched to smaller, safer fish with much lower mercury levels. And within just a few months, his memory began to improve. Not perfect, but good enough that he no longer forgot about the pan on the stove. So what's the lesson here? Don't let fancy looks fool you. Just because a fish is expensive doesn't mean it's good for you. And just because it's big doesn't mean it's healthy. In fact, for older adults, the bigger the fish, the more toxins it might carry. And if you think king mackerel is the worst offender on the list, just wait for the next one. This next fish is sold everywhere. It's often labeled as organic, high in omega-3, or heart healthy. But the truth is, it's a toxin trap hiding behind pink flesh and clever marketing. And most older adults trust it completely, not knowing that just 2 servings per month can raise their lifetime risk of cancer. Number 1. Farmed salmon, the pink trap of the food industry. Linda is 70 years old and lives in Seattle, right near the famous Pike Place fish market. She's a careful shopper. She always chooses clean foods, prefers fish over red meat, and truly believes in salmon. Everyone says salmon is good for your heart and brain. Each week she buys 2 or 3 fillets of salmon from the supermarket. She picks the ones in neat packaging with bright pink-orange color. The label says Atlantic salmon. She usually pan-sears it with a little black pepper and adds avocado salad on the side. Most people would say that's the perfect healthy meal for someone her age. But after a few months, Linda noticed something strange. She couldn't sleep through the night. Her joints started to ache. And each time she got a cold, it took longer to recover. At first, she thought it was just part of getting older. But then her nutritionist asked her, "Are you eating farmed salmon?" Farmed salmon, especially Atlantic salmon, is very different from wild salmon. These fish are raised in crowded cages in the ocean or in lakes. They don't have space to swim freely. They're often exposed to disease, and they're kept alive with antibiotics, parasite drugs, and processed feed. The fat in farmed salmon is not like the fat in wild fish. Instead of being rich in omega-3, it contains a high level of omega-6, a type of fat that causes inflammation in the body. That makes joint pain, heart issues, and memory problems worse. To make things look better, producers even add artificial coloring, just to make the fish look fresh and healthy. Because in reality, farmed salmon is pale gray, not pink. A 2023 study from Norway, a major source of farmed salmon, found that farmed salmon contains 5 times more industrial toxins than wild fish. These include PCBs and dioxins, chemicals linked to cancer, hormone problems, and early aging. Even worse, a report from the Environmental Working Group found that just 2 servings of farmed salmon per month can raise your lifetime cancer risk by 25%. After learning this, Linda made a change. She switched to wild salmon, the kind clearly labeled wild-caught Alaskan salmon, or sockeye. She now eats it just once or twice a week. And after 2 months, she slept better. Her joint pain eased up, and her body recovered more quickly from everyday fatigue. The lesson here is clear. Not all salmon is the same. And just because something looks fancy or expensive at the store doesn't mean it's safe. Once you're over 60, choosing the wrong fish can cost you your memory, your health, and even your independence. But don't worry. Not all fish are harmful. In fact, some small, simple fish that many people ignore might be the most powerful natural medicine for healthy aging. The first one I want you to remember sits quietly on the bottom shelf. It comes in a can. It's cheap, and most people overlook it, but it's a real superfood for older adults. Number 4, sardines, small but mighty, a brain and joint saver. Rose is 74 years old and lives alone in Oregon. She's quiet, thoughtful, and careful with her spending. After her husband passed, she began focusing on her health, eating simple meals, doing light yoga in the mornings, and keeping her mind busy with books and crossword puzzles. What's special about Rose? She never buys salmon or mackerel. In her pantry, you'll find neat rows of little sardine cans, right next to her beans and brown rice. She eats them about 3 times a week, her granddaughter says, sometimes with salad, sometimes just on a slice of whole wheat bread. The result? At almost 75, Rose still walks 2 miles a day. Her memory is sharp, her bones are strong, and her skin glows with good health. Sardines are one of nature's richest sources of omega-3s, especially EPA and DHA. These are the essential fatty acids that keep the brain and nervous system running smoothly. They help improve memory, reduce inflammation, and protect against age-related brain decline. But that's not all. Sardines also contain calcium, even more than a glass of milk, thanks to their soft, edible bones. Natural vitamin D, which helps your body absorb calcium. Coenzyme Q10, an antioxidant that supports heart health and fights fatigue. According to a 2022 study from Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, older adults with higher levels of EPA and DHA in their blood had memory decline rates that were 50% slower than those with lower levels, especially in people who regularly ate sardines or other small fish. While many people spend hundreds of dollars on brain supplements, a can of sardines, often under $2, delivers real, natural nutrients that the body absorbs more easily than any pill. The lesson from Rose is simple. Sometimes the smallest and humblest things are what keep us healthy the longest. You don't need fancy fish. You just need to choose the right one and eat it regularly. Sardines are simple, nutritious, and easy to find in every grocery store. But if you're looking for something a bit more premium, still rich in omega-3s, low in mercury, and full of fresh flavor, then the next fish will surprise you. Because it doesn't just support the heart and brain, it also helps fight 2 of aging's biggest silent enemies, inflammation and oxidative stress. Number 3, wild salmon, a superfood worth eating. Every week. Frank is 71 years old and lives in a small wooden cabin in Alaska. He's been retired for nearly 10 years, but he still wakes up early every day, takes a walk around the lake, and always cooks his own breakfast. In his little kitchen, he has one unbreakable rule: eat wild salmon at least twice a week. Not because a doctor told him to, but because he feels it. He says his body just responds differently whenever he eats it. He still has a fit figure, healthy skin, and a sharp memory. His friends like to joke, "You're not getting older, Frank. Your hair just turned silver." Wild salmon, meaning salmon caught in the wild, is one of the most nutrient-rich fish in nature. Unlike farmed salmon, which are raised in cages and fed pellets, wild salmon swim hundreds of miles and eat shrimp and natural sea life. That's why their fat is clean, balanced, and full of healthy omega-3s. Wild salmon is especially rich in EPA and DHA, essential fats that protect the brain, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. Astaxanthin, a powerful natural antioxidant that gives the salmon its deep pink color and is stronger than vitamin C. Easy to digest protein, perfect for older adults who want to keep their muscle strength. A 2023 study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults with high omega-3 levels from natural fish had a 47% lower risk of dementia and nearly 40% lower risk of dying from heart disease. Compared to red meat or farmed fish, wild salmon isn't just food. It's a natural anti-aging medicine. A small grilled salmon fillet served with steamed vegetables and a drizzle of olive oil isn't just a tasty meal. It's a healing moment for your brain, your heart, and your spirit. And Frank isn't the only example. Many senior homes in Japan, where people live the longest and healthiest lives, serve natural fatty fish like wild salmon 2 to 3 times a week. The lesson is simple but powerful. Choose foods that help you enjoy life, not just extend it. Wild salmon may not be the cheapest fish, but if you measure it in healthy, happy years, it's one of the best investments you can make. And if you're looking for a fish that's a little smaller, easier to find than wild salmon, but still packed with omega-3s, low in mercury, and rich in heart-protecting nutrients, then the next one may surprise you, because it's often confused with a mercury-loaded fish we mentioned earlier. Number 2, Atlantic mackerel, the safer brother in the mackerel family. After learning that king mackerel is one of the highest mercury fish out there, Henry, 67 years old, felt disappointed. "I've loved mackerel since I was a kid," he said. "That rich flavor always reminds me of family dinners with my parents." But now, at his age, he knows that food choices aren't just about taste anymore. They're about memory, health, and staying independent. Thankfully, he didn't have to give up his favorite fish. A nutritionist introduced him to another member of the mackerel family, smaller, safer, and maybe even better for you: Atlantic mackerel, also known as the safe mackerel. Unlike king mackerel, which is large, long-living, and mercury-loaded, Atlantic mackerel is a small fish with a short life. That means it doesn't build up heavy metals the way big fish do. That's why both the FDA and EPA rank Atlantic mackerel as one of the safest fish choices, even for seniors, young children, and pregnant women. But it's not just safe. It's also packed with nutrition. Exceptionally high omega-3 levels, equal to or even more than salmon. Natural selenium, which protects cells from oxidative stress and boosts the immune system. Vitamin B12 and easy-to-digest protein, important for muscle strength and energy in older adults. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Aging Research found that older adults who ate fatty fish like Atlantic mackerel 3 times a week had a 52% lower risk of stroke, a 43% lower risk of dementia, and stronger grip strength, one of the top indicators of long-term health, by nearly 20%. Today, Henry has fully switched to Atlantic mackerel. He usually buys it frozen from the local market, marinates it with ginger, pepper, and olive oil, then grills it until crispy. He eats it with brown rice or a fresh salad. "To my surprise," he says, "it tastes just as rich, and my mind feels clearer, knowing I made the right choice." You see, staying healthy doesn't always mean giving things up. Sometimes it just means learning more and choosing a safer version of what you love. Atlantic mackerel is a smart, delicious, and powerful option for older adults. It's full of benefits, without the hidden risks that come with its larger relatives. But there's still one more fish, a tiny one that few people talk about and maybe you've never tried. Yet this fish is known by Scandinavian doctors as the natural shield against aging for older adults. Number 1, herring, the forgotten gem of superfoods. Mrs. Ingrid, 76 years old and originally from Norway, lives with her daughter in Minnesota. A few times a month, she asks her daughter to drive her to a small Nordic grocery store in town to pick up a few jars of pickled herring. "I've been eating this since I was a little girl," she smiles. "Back then, my mother used to pickle it herself. Now I just buy it ready-made." Her American-born granddaughter once wrinkled her nose and asked, "Herring smells strong. How can you eat that, Grandma?" Ingrid simply replied, "This fish keeps my mind sharp enough to beat you at chess. Not every fish can do that." Herring is a small, oily fish that swims in cold European waters. It's not very common in the US, but in Northern Europe it's a staple, especially for older adults. And it's no coincidence that these regions have some of the lowest dementia rates in the world. Herring is rich in DHA, the most important omega-3 for brain cell structure, balanced omega-3 and omega-6 fats, which support brain and heart health, selenium and vitamin A for immune health, eye protection, and skin, vitamin D and B12 to support bone strength and nerve stability. A 2023 study in the Journal of Neurology found that older adults who ate herring just twice a week had a 63% lower risk of dementia compared to those who ate no fish or only lean fish like cod. Even better, because of its ideal fat profile and low mercury levels, herring also helps to lower blood pressure, reduce chronic joint pain, fight full-body inflammation. A hidden driver of aging, Mrs. Ingrid, now close to 80, still remembers all her grandkids' birthdays. She still gardens, shops on her own, and writes handwritten cards for every holiday. Her doctor once joked, "If all my patients had blood work like hers, I'd be out of a job." When asked about her secret, she held up a jar of herring and said, "It's not just food, it's memory, it's energy, it's part of who I am." In a world chasing expensive supplements and flashy health trends, this humble little fish quietly keeps thousands of older adults sharp, strong, and independent. Never overlook the simple things. We don't need fancy superfoods. We need the ones that nourish us from the inside out. So now, we've taken a journey through 8 important types of fish, 4 to avoid and 4 to eat regularly if you want to age well, stay healthy, and stay free. But perhaps the most important lesson isn't about the fish themselves. It's about being intentional with what you put on your plate every single day. So let's quickly recap. 4 fish you should avoid, especially after 60. Swordfish, high mercury, brain damage risk, farmed tilapia, causes inflammation and hormone issues. King mackerel, linked to stroke and memory loss. Farmed Atlantic salmon, full of toxins and bad fats. 4 fish you should add to your weekly meals. Sardines, small but packed with omega-3, calcium, and CoQ10. Wild salmon, a powerful anti-aging superfood. Atlantic mackerel, clean, rich in nutrients, and heart-friendly. Herring, the forgotten gem that protects your whole body. Growing older doesn't have to mean becoming weaker. In fact, if you care for your body the right way, your golden years can be the most vibrant and independent time of your life. And sometimes it all starts with one simple choice. A better piece of fish, cooked the right way, can give you more years of clarity, strength, and joy. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button so more people can find this message. Leave a comment. What fish do you eat regularly? Did anything surprise you today? I read every comment, and I'll reply if you have any questions. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. I'll be sharing more simple, science-backed health tips soon, so you can stay strong without relying on medication. Remember, we can't control time, but we can choose how we age. And I truly believe you deserve to age with strength, joy, and freedom. See you in the next video. Wishing you a day full of energy and a week full of health.